The morning was dreary. Gray clouds blanketed the sky, and a fine, annoying drizzle fell, not worth opening an umbrella, but enough to soak you through. On days like this, you'd rather curl up at home with a book and a blanket, not trek across the city to a notary's office. But there was no choice. Mom died 2 months ago. A stroke. Sudden and terrifying. I still wake up at night feeling I need to call her, only to remember there's no one to call. The emptiness inside feels like all the air's been sucked from my chest. That day, I stood outside the notary's office, unable to step inside. Crossing that threshold meant admitting Mom was gone for good, that we, her kids, would divide what she left behind like vultures. The thought made me nauseous, but I took a deep breath and pushed open the heavy door. My sister Laura was already in the waiting room, tapping her nails on her leather purse, looking irritated. "Finally," she snapped instead of a greeting. "I thought you weren't coming." "Hi, Laura." I tried to smile, but my lips wouldn't cooperate. "Sorry, the bus was late." Laura just huffed. We were never close. 5 years apart didn't help. I was always the annoying little sister she had to tolerate. Then our paths diverged. She married well, moved to a fancy neighborhood, had a son. She visited Mom on major holidays, called on Sundays. I lived in a tiny rented apartment nearby, just a couple of bus stops from Mom's place. Daughters of Elizabeth Marie Thompson? A sharp woman in a business suit appeared at the office door. "Please come in." The notary, a stout, middle-aged woman with a weary face, quickly scanned the documents. "All formalities are in order." She adjusted her glasses. "I can read the will." Laura and I nodded in unison. My heart pounded in my throat. "I, Elizabeth Marie Thompson, being of sound mind and without coercion." The notary's voice felt distant, like it was underwater, and I barely caught the words until one line snapped me back. "My 2-bedroom apartment at the specified address is bequeathed in its entirety to my younger daughter, Valerie Susan Thompson." Blood rushed to my face. My ears rang. The whole apartment? To me alone? My mind couldn't process it. I'd always assumed Mom's estate would be split evenly, fairly. "Excuse me," Laura interrupted, her voice trembling. "Are you sure? Maybe it says equal shares?" "I've reviewed the document thoroughly," the notary replied, glancing at the papers again. "The property is fully transferred to Valerie Susan Thompson. Financial assets, jewelry, and other movable property are divided equally between both daughters." Laura's face drained of color. The room's atmosphere turned thick, like wading through molasses. "I don't believe this. There's clearly a legal mistake." Laura straightened, her tone nearly commanding. "My mother would never allow such blatant unfairness toward her eldest daughter." "At the time of drafting and signing, your mother was fully mentally competent," the notary said with the calm of someone used to family dramas. "The document is legally sound, all formalities observed. You're welcome to review the original." She handed us the will. I stared at Mom's handwriting, her signature at the bottom, and couldn't fathom why. Why did she decide this? Outside the office, Laura stopped abruptly. "How long have you known?" Her voice quivered with tension. "Known what?" I was bewildered. "Don't play dumb!" She raised her voice, drawing glances from passers-by. "How long have you known you'd get the apartment? How'd you convince her? What did you tell her about me?" "Laura, I swear I had no idea." I reached for her wrist, but she recoiled as if I were toxic. "I'm as shocked as you are." "Sure." Her words dripped with bitterness. "Mom's precious little girl, poor Valerie. No husband, no kids, just pity. How convenient, living nearby, playing the perfect daughter. And now you've hit the jackpot." "That's not fair." My voice broke, the last word a sob. "I never asked Mom for the apartment." "Really?" Laura laughed coldly. Who's been hovering around her for years? Taking her to doctors? Happening to be there when she got her pension? Stop it! Tears welled up. I visited Mom because I loved her. I took her to doctors because she was scared to go alone. Where were you? Why didn't you come more? I have a family, a kid, a job. Laura was nearly shouting. And you? You've got nothing, so you latched onto Mom's inheritance. Don't you dare. I was crying openly now. Don't say I was with Mom for the apartment. You know what? Laura's eyes burned with hatred, making me flinch. Enjoy your victory, but don't call me, and don't show up at family gatherings. Laura! I tried to stop her, but she was already storming off, head high. I stood alone in the drizzle, clutching the apartment documents. A gift turned curse. The first weeks passed in a fog. I moved my things into Mom's, now my, apartment. I had surprisingly little. Books, clothes, a few travel souvenirs, an old laptop. 38 years of life fit into 10 boxes. Changing anything in Mom's apartment felt wrong. Every figurine, every piece of decor held a piece of her soul. Altering it meant letting her go, admitting she'd never walk through these rooms again. Mornings, I'd wake thinking I'd hear coffee brewing and Mom's voice. Valerie, breakfast's ready. Then reality crashed in, and I'd lie there, face buried in the pillow, unable to move. Teaching at the community college was my only solace. In front of students, I had to play the confident professor, and that mask briefly shielded the growing void inside. Literature offered escape, letting me forget my pain for a while. The commute home, evening routines, cooking a simple dinner, all became a mechanical sequence in oppressive silence, followed by collapsing into bed, praying for sleep. My phone stayed quiet. Laura didn't call. I tried her number a few times, but she hung up. I texted, "Let's talk," but got no reply. That night I drank a glass of wine alone for the first time in years. Then another, and another, until I passed out on the couch, face pressed into Mom's favorite pillow, still faintly scented with her perfume. 3 weeks later, Mom's friend, Aunt Sally, called. Valerie, how you holding up? Her voice was strained, unnatural. Fine, I lied, getting used to things. I see. A long pause. Is it true you convinced Elizabeth to leave you the apartment? I froze, phone in hand. So Laura had spread her version. No, Aunt Sally. I only found out at the will reading. Well, I figured. She didn't sound convinced. It's just, Laura said. What did Laura say? I couldn't hide the bitterness. That you spent years turning your mom against her, made her think Laura didn't care, that you begged for the apartment. I ended the call. I couldn't listen anymore. Dropped the phone and shut it off. That day, I broke down completely. Not the quiet tears I'd shed for Mom, but raw, wrenching sobs. The kind that tear your chest apart. How unfair. I was with Mom because I loved her, not for some apartment. I just wanted her to feel less alone. I couldn't imagine seeing her only a few times a year and calling it normal. The next day, I took a day off and visited the cemetery. Mom's grave was tidy. I came weekly, brought flowers, cleaned the headstone, talked to her, softly, almost whispering, as if afraid someone might overhear my mad monologue. Mom, why? I sat on the small bench by her grave. Why give me the apartment? Now Laura hates me. Everyone thinks I'm a greedy monster. I didn't ask for this. I swear I didn't. The wind rustled the leaves of the birch by her grave. No answer, of course. Maybe sell it? Give Laura half? Make it fair? I spoke aloud, grasping for a solution. But that was your wish. Would it be right to go against it? On my way back, I stopped at the grocery store. In the checkout line, a familiar voice called out, "Valerie? Valerie Thompson?" I turned. It was Mrs. Clara, Mom's neighbor from the same floor, a tiny, wiry woman with a sharp gaze and an uncanny knack for knowing everyone's business. "Hello, Mrs. Clara." I tried to smile. "Been a while?" She grabbed my elbow with surprising strength. "How you doing? Heard you got Elizabeth's apartment?" I nodded, bracing for judgment. "Good for you," she exclaimed unexpectedly. "Elizabeth, God rest her soul, made the right call." I looked at her skeptically. "You think so?" "You bet." Mrs. Clara lowered her voice conspiratorially. "You know, she talked to me when she wrote the will. I told her, 'Elizabeth, it's your property. Do what you want.' And she said, 'Clara, my older girl's married, lives well. She's got her own place, a car, a wealthy husband. But my Valerie's alone. Who'll look out for her if not me?'" "She said that?" My breath caught. "Cross my heart." Mrs. Clara made the sign of the cross. And she added, "Valerie's been like a daughter and a mother to me these last years. Took me to the hospital, got my meds, sat and talked. Laura'll make it to my funeral, maybe." Tears welled up, but these were warm, almost grateful. "Thank you, Mrs. Clara," I whispered. "Thank you for telling me." "No trouble." She waved it off. "Come by sometime. We'll have tea, chat." For the first time in ages, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe not everyone saw me as a selfish daughter. May was warm. I threw open the windows, and the apartment filled with the scent of lilacs from the courtyard. For the first time since Mom's death, I started making changes. Small things at first. Rearranged bookshelves, bought new kitchen curtains. Then bolder, moved the heavy wardrobe to free a corner for a desk. By the window, it was the perfect spot for work. I still missed Mom, every day, every moment. But the sharp pain was easing into a gentle sadness. I learned to smile again, remembering our talks, trips, little family traditions. Contact with Laura stopped entirely. After 10 failed calls, all cut off without a word, I gave up the humiliating attempts to reconnect. Her husband, Nathan, sent a curt text once. "Laura's upset. Give her time." But time passed, and nothing changed. For my nephew Ethan's birthday, I sent money and a gift. A new gaming console he'd wanted forever. No thank you, not even a formal one. It hurt, but I told myself, Ethan's a kid, shaped by his parents. If his mom branded me the family villain, he had no other perspective. I was grading exam essays when the doorbell jolted me. Opening the door, I found Nathan, tense, his face like carved stone. "Can I come in?" he asked, skipping pleasantries. I stepped aside silently. He entered the living room but didn't sit. "Laura doesn't know I'm here," he said bluntly. "And she shouldn't." "Is something wrong?" My heart raced. "You could say that," Nathan smirked. "Laura's having work trouble, layoffs. She needs money." "I can help," I said, eager to mend things. "How much?" "It's not about the amount." He shook his head. "It's the source. Laura thinks, and I agree, it'd be fair if you sold the apartment and split the money evenly." I froze. So that's it. "But it was Mom's wish," I started. "Wish, schmish," Nathan cut in. "You know old folks don't always think straight. Elizabeth wasn't young, could have mixed things up." "She was perfectly lucid," I protested. "The notary confirmed it." "Listen." Nathan stepped closer, looming over me. "We can do this the easy way. Sell the place, split the cash. Half to you, half to Laura, and maybe family peace is restored. Otherwise, and if I refuse?" To my surprise, my voice was steady, fueled by a new, fierce resolve, a sense of rightness I hadn't known I had. "Then we go to court." Nathan steepled his fingers like a TV villain. "Our legal team's drafting a motion to void the will. We have grounds to claim your mother signed it during cognitive decline. Several people will testify she was forgetful, lost track of conversations. admitted her memory was slipping. That's vile. My chest tightened with outrage. You know her memory was fine until the end. How dare you? Prove it in court, he shrugged. Meanwhile, they'll freeze the apartment. You want that? We don't. But if we must... He let the threat hang. Get out. I pointed to the door. My voice shook but held firm. Now. Think it over, Valerie. Nathan headed out. 1 week, then we move. When the door slammed, I sank to the floor in the hallway, hugging my knees. I was trembling from fear, hurt, fury. How could they? Threaten a lawsuit, lie about Mom's health, all for money? I didn't sleep that night. My mind spun. Sell the place? End this nightmare? But betray Mom's final wish? And cave to blackmail? By dawn, I'd decided. I grabbed my phone and texted, "Come Sunday at 2. Whole family, I've made up my mind." Sunday was sunny. I was nervous but oddly relieved. For the first time in ages, I knew exactly what to do. At 2:00 sharp, the bell rang. Laura, Nathan, and Ethan stood at the door. Laura looked triumphant, Nathan smug, Ethan bored. "Come in." I stepped aside. "Guess you came to your senses." Laura swept into the living room, eyeing the decor critically. "Hope you didn't ruin anything." I said nothing, waiting until they sat. I stood in the center of the room. "I've thought long and hard about your proposal," I began, keeping my voice steady. "And I've decided." "Excellent," Nathan nodded patronizingly. "We can help with the sale paperwork." "I'm not selling the apartment," I said firmly. Silence fell. "What do you mean, not selling?" Laura leaned forward. "We had an agreement." "No." I shook my head. "You issued an ultimatum. I'm not accepting it." "Then we're suing." Nathan stood. "We warned you." "Go ahead," I shrugged. "But know this. Mom had a full medical checkup a month before the will. Complete physical. All records are intact. No signs of dementia or cognitive issues. Plus, neighbors who saw her daily will testify. Plus, videos from my phone. Our visits. Want to see? Perfectly clear mind." Nathan and Laura exchanged glances, their confidence wavering. "Also," I continued, "if you file with false claims, that's slander. I'll countersue for emotional distress and attempted fraud." You wouldn't dare!" Laura jumped up. "We're family." "Family?" I laughed bitterly. "What kind of family, Laura? You cut me off the moment you heard the will, spread lies about me, turned relatives against me. Now your husband threatens me with court. That's family?" "Don't twist this," Laura shouted. "You stole my inheritance." "I stole nothing," I said, surprised by my calm. "Mom chose who got what. Her right. And you know why? Because in her last 10 years, you visited this apartment exactly 17 times. I counted. 17. Mostly holidays, a couple hours. Then you'd rush off. Always something more important." "I have a family," Laura repeated. "A kid, a husband, a job." "Mom had a family too." I met her eyes. 2 daughters. And one found time to visit more than New Year's and her birthday. "How dare you!" Laura raised her hand, but Nathan grabbed it. "I blamed myself for a long time," I went on. "Thought maybe selling was best, but now I know. No, this was Mom's choice. She had every right to decide. And if she picked me, there were reasons." "Let's go." Nathan pulled Laura toward the door. "She's made her choice. So have we." Ethan, silent through it all, stood and followed. "We're not family anymore." Laura spat from the doorway. "Forget you have a sister." They left, slamming the door. I sank onto the couch, feeling a strange lightness. like a massive weight had lifted. It hurt, yes. It was terrifying to be alone without family. But the constant guilt imposed by people who never felt guilty themselves was worse. That evening, I brewed tea in Mom's favorite teapot, sat by the window, and watched the sunset. I was home. My home. And it felt right. 6 months passed. I renovated the apartment, not drastically, but freshened the walls, updated the plumbing, bought a new couch. Some of Mom's things went to charity. Others I kept, those tied to special memories. One day, a student came to my office, Maggie, 19, from a small town, studying part-time. Big, scared eyes, clutching a suitcase. "Professor Valerie, can we talk?" she asked after class, fidgeting with her bag's strap. "Of course, Maggie. What's wrong?" "They're kicking me out of the dorm." Her eyes filled with tears. "Some urgent repairs. Everyone's moving, some to family, some to rentals. I've got nowhere to go. No money for rent. My parents in the sticks barely get by." My heart ached for this lost girl. Then it hit me. "How long's the repair?" "They say 2 months, but you know how it goes." Maggie gave a bitter smile. "They start, run out of funds, and it drags on for a year." I paused, then said, "I've got a spare room. You can stay with me until the dorm's fixed." Maggie stared, disbelieving. "You? Serious? You'd let me live with you?" "Dead serious," I nodded. "A 2-bedroom's too big for one. And honestly, it's a bit lonely." So Maggie moved in. At first, she was shy, tiptoeing around, always asking permission. But she settled in. She was a great cook, learned from her grandma. Evenings, we'd sit in the kitchen, sip tea and talk. School, books, dreams. Maggie wanted to be a journalist, wrote for the student paper. 2 months later, the dorm repairs hadn't finished. Maggie timidly asked to stay longer. To my surprise, I was glad. I liked her energy, her genuine zest for life. With her, the apartment felt cozier, alive. "Of course, stay," I said, "as long as you need." 3 more months passed. One evening, we were cooking dinner. I chopped veggies, Maggie stirred sauce, when she paused, spoon in hand. "Professor Valerie," she said hesitantly, "can I ask something?" "Go ahead," I smiled. "Why'd you take me in?" Her eyes were serious. "You didn't know me. I could have been anyone, a thief, a junkie. Why risk it?" I thought about it. Pity, loneliness, or something else. "You know," I said slowly, "life can be so unfair. When you're facing that alone, it's crucial for someone to offer a hand. Not out of pity, but because we're all human. We should help each other." Maggie waited, listening. "When I saw you that day," I continued, "I knew, if I don't help, I'll regret it. But if I do, maybe I'll make the world a little better, even just for one person." "Thank you," she said softly. "You don't know what this means." I realized Maggie wasn't just a tenant. She'd become a friend, almost a daughter I never had. Maggie stayed permanently. She got a part-time job at a local paper and insisted on paying rent. Small, but it mattered to her pride. I agreed, though I didn't need the money. It was about her self-respect. A year after Mom's death, I got a strange message from Ethan. "Aunt Valerie, can we meet? Mom can't know." I was stunned. No contact for a year, no calls, no texts. Now Ethan wanted a secret meeting? "Sure," I replied. "When and where?" We met at a cafe near his school. Ethan had grown, looking more like Laura. Same stubborn eyes, same chin. "Thanks for coming," he said seriously, sitting across from me. "I wasn't sure you would, after everything." "You're my nephew," I smiled. Of course I'd come if you asked. Ethan ordered coffee, wincing at each sip, clearly not a fan yet. I want to apologize, he blurted, for not writing, for believing everything they said. I didn't know what to say, so I waited. I didn't get it back then, he continued. I was 14. I trusted my parents. Then, I found Grandma's old phone in a drawer. Your texts, photos, videos. I went through it all. He took a deep breath. And I saw you were there for her. Called every day. Asked about her health, her mood, Mom. She only called on holidays. And I remembered Grandma always talked about you when we visited. Valerie this, Valerie that. Mom would get mad. Ethan. I touched his hand gently. Your mom loved Grandma, in her own way. Maybe. He looked down, but she lied about you. Said you turned Grandma against us, made her rewrite the will. What do you think now? I asked quietly. I think you were just there. He shrugged. You visited, we didn't. You helped, we were busy. It's not fair to blame you for doing what we all should have. My eyes stung. Thank you, Ethan, I managed. That means a lot. I want to stay in touch, he said firmly. You're my only aunt. I'm not losing another person over this dumb fight. We agreed to meet secretly. Ethan visited, met Maggie, and they hit it off. She helped with his essays. He taught her video game tricks. Sometimes the three of us went to movies or the park. Those were bright, joyful moments. About 18 months after our fight, Mrs. Clara called, her voice anxious. Valerie, something's up. Your Laura's in the courtyard. Been here an hour, pacing. Looks like she's heading to you, but can't decide. Laura? I couldn't believe it. You sure? Don't insult an old lady, Mrs. Clara huffed. Known her since she was a kid. It's her. She looks lost. Something wrong? I thought of Ethan. Had she found out about our meetings? My heart raced. Thanks, Mrs. Clara. I'll go down. I threw on clothes and ran outside. Laura was on a bench, thinner with a new haircut, but still herself. Proud posture, defiant gaze. Hey, I said, approaching. She flinched and looked up. Hey, she said hoarsely. I didn't know if you'd be home. I am, I nodded. Want to come up? Laura hesitated, then stood decisively. Yeah, let's. We rode the elevator in silence. Laura fidgeted with her purse strap, like Maggie had at our first meeting. Tea? Coffee? I asked as we entered. Or something stronger? Tea, she said, sitting by the window, the best spot for the courtyard view. I brewed tea and set a cup before her. She wrapped her hands around it, as if warming them. How you doing? I asked, sitting across. Nathan left, she said instead of answering. For his secretary, 2 months ago. Took half our stuff and the car. I sighed. I'm sorry. Really? She met my eyes. You're really sorry? Of course. I didn't look away. You're my sister. Your pain is mine. Laura gave a bitter smile. After everything I said? After all these months? Family's family. I shrugged. Even when we don't talk. Why are you like this? Her voice mixed irritation and admiration. Always so good, understanding. Mom loved you for it, more than me. That's not true. I shook my head. Mom loved us both, just differently. But she gave you the apartment, Laura said, not angry anymore, just stating a fact. Yeah, I agreed, because she knew you had your own, and a husband, and stability. Stability, Laura laughed joylessly. Not so stable as you see. We sat in silence. Then Laura spoke again. I talked to Ethan. He said you've been meeting. My breath caught. Yeah, I hope that's okay. I should have been against it. She stared out the window, avoiding my eyes. But I'm glad. He needs family, especially now, with me and Nathan. Her voice broke and she stopped. Ethan also said he found Mom's phone. She continued after a pause. Showed me the photos, videos, your texts. I stayed quiet, letting her speak. And I realized I was wrong, she said softly. All those accusations. I was just angry, hurt. I thought Mom always loved you more. Then she gave you the apartment, like final proof. You were the favorite, and I was second best. Laura, I touched her shoulder. You made that up. Mom was proud of you, your career, your family. She just wanted to look out for me, because I was alone. You're not alone now, Laura said suddenly. Ethan told me about your tenant. Maggie, right? Yeah, I nodded. She's a great kid. Been with me almost a year. You get along? More than that, I smiled. She's like a daughter to me. Laura finally met my eyes. Valerie, I'm sorry. For everything. For what I said. For turning family against you. For keeping Ethan away. I was wrong. And I miss you. Our family. She broke down, crying like when we were kids, over a scraped knee or a lost toy. I hugged her, and she buried her face in my shoulder. It's okay, I whispered, stroking her hair. It'll be okay. We talked until late, about Mom, childhood, life, dreams, past and future. As we parted, Laura said, You know, I think Mom did the right thing. This apartment, it's yours. You earned it. Time passed. Maggie finished community college and enrolled in university. She worked at a real newspaper now, starting as a proofreader, but she loved it. Ethan got into a technical college, often dropping by on weekends. Laura and I reconnected, not as close as kids, but warm and genuine. One evening, Maggie and I sat in the kitchen. She was excited about her first big article assignment, and I listened, reflecting on how my life had changed in 2 years. What's on your mind? Maggie asked, catching my gaze. Life, I smiled. How strange it all is. This apartment nearly tore my family apart. Now, it's a real home. For me, for you. A place where Ethan and Laura are welcome. I think Mom would be happy to see this. She probably does, Maggie said seriously. And she's glad, because her dream came true. Her daughter's happy in this home. I looked out at the starry sky. One star seemed to wink at me. Yeah, I whispered. I really am happy. And it was true. Once, this apartment was a wedge, splitting family apart. But now, it's what Mom always wanted. A warm home, full of love, open to anyone ready to give and receive it. That's the greatest inheritance of all.